Warning: the following video may contain harsh language, crude humor, and may offend unintentionally, and is an affiliate of Scythering Productions. The opinions and comments expressed do not reflect those of the Scythering team. All credit and criticism shall be warranted to TWS Productions. Viewer discretion is advised.
And welcome to That Wrestling Show. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of news for you guys this week, but I do have some interesting bits, to say the least, to talk about. And if this is the last episode you will ever see of me on YouTube, well, you will understand why. But why don't we get into the news of the week? Yes, this is a fact, but Cowboy Stadium is actually out of the running for hosting WrestleMania 28 and 29 and possibly 30. Yes, obviously 28 is being taken by Florida, but it was under a consideration, but not so much anymore. The real problem is because for the next 2 years, they have already booked solid for the NCAA Regional and the Final Four in 2013 and 2014. WrestleMania might actually be held in New Jersey, New York, or possibly Toronto. But the thought that Toronto was going to be hosting one of the WrestleManias, that also might be thrown out, seeing as how they wanted to put Trish Stratus and Edge in the Hall of Fame at the same time, and that is a major rumor. So all you fans in Texas, as WWE teased you and did it on SmackDown and Raw at live events, and they egged you on saying, do you want to have WrestleMania here? No, you're not getting it. Or at least Cowboy Stadium's not getting it. I'm sure they can probably go to the Astrodome or somewhere of that nature, but as far as Cowboy Stadium goes, no, you're not getting it. So don't completely throw your hopes into the toilet right now, but as far as everything is concerned, oh well. An update on Randy Macho Man Savage. Lanny Poffo, who is actually his brother, better known as the Genius. I could have sworn we've seen a guy like that on this show once before. Actually made a statement that if Savage was to go into the Hall of Fame, that it was Savage's wishes that the entire Poffo family would also be inducted into the Hall of Fame, which would be one of his conditions into going in. I'm not quite sure if the whole family is ever going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Savage, of course, belongs in the Hall of Fame, but again, this is a whole Vince McMahon thing, and we'll see if we'll just see if that actually happens. Jeff Hardy speaks out on, using substances, saying, when I quote, if you never start, you never will. And believe it or not, his way to stay clean is mainly due to the fact that he's now a father. While I can support Jeff Hardy for, doing what he's doing right now and saying because I'm now a father, I have to remain clean. That's why Randy Orton has remained clean for so long. And also at the same time, it's a little, I don't want to say counterproductive, but Jeff Hardy, in one hand, you say it was the business that kind of turned to the drugs, but at the same time, the business is enforcing the pills down your throat. Believe it or not, those of you that don't know, Evan Bourne was suspended again. This is his second violation of the wellness policy, and he will be suspended for 60 days and counting. But there are some sources that say that Evan Bourne was probably getting himself caught on purpose, perhaps trying to get himself fired. But while there is some speculation here and there, the real question is why? As far as I'm concerned, Bourne, I was really high on you. And 2 strikes in a week, literally days after you got rehired back onto the scene, not a good sign, Evan. I mean, not a good sign. I don't know exactly how I feel about this particular arrangement. I'm not sure how wrestling fans agree with your particular arrangement. But it's kind of a shame that, his biggest enemy is himself. TNA might actually, and yes, this is true, might actually have a claim against WWE. Actually, they're going to attempt to try to sue WWE for Ric Flair being at the Hall of Fame. The initial notion is, of course, that they're going to use Ric Flair to garner in DVD sales, Hall of Fame sales, and put money into, of course, WWE's pocket. And the problem is, that is, of course, a TNA contracted wrestler. Yeah, you really can't do that. We knew the backlash was coming, and TNA may actually have a claim. Now, I'm not sure how WWE is going to handle this. There's a big report that they may give TNA or Flair or some kind of form a royalty check of like $50,000 or $100,000 or something to use Ric Flair. But the problem, TNA, is WWE owns the rights to WCW and AWA. There's Flair footage in there, so I'm not sure how far you can go with this claim, but good luck to you. And speaking of good luck to you, many people were wondering where the hell was Ole Anderson during the induction of the Four Horsemen, or at least the announcement of the Four Horsemen into the Hall of Fame. Well, believe it or not, Ole is not in the Hall of Fame because in a recent interview, he hates Vince McMahon. He will never do business with the guy. In fact, he went ahead and said that he will never ever do business with that son of a bitch. And there was no way in hell he would ever be able to make the Hall of Fame because due to his, back problems and his, scoliosis or whatever it is he has, he's in a wheelchair, he would never be able to make it to the Hall of Fame. He's in constant pain and he just doesn't want to be there. So all of you people that wanted to see Ole Anderson in the Hall of Fame, you're not going to see it because he doesn't want anything to do with WWE. And my last bit of news, and this is where, of course, the gloves might come off. WWE is listed as one of the 354 major companies that support the SOPA bill. This is where I might get taken off the air, but I'm going to say my piece on this. Okay, WWE. While I agree that piracy online is a bad thing, I understand that, I get that, and I'm all for anti-piracy. I get that. But have you read the bill? Have you seen what they're trying to do? They're trying to police the internet. WWE, you are trying to go more global than ever. You want to go intergalactic, and the internet is the best source of information that anyone's going to be able to get these days. Whenever a wrestler is injured, whenever there's a bomb in Tokyo, whether there's a flood, a fire, a re-election, a birth, a death, a war, anything, the internet is the first source of information that we're all going to get it from. Now, for your company, you love playing the Facebook and Twitter game. Well, haven't you figured out that if you support the bill and this bill does pass, you're kind of going to cut your own balls off, WWE? I want you to keep in mind how much damage that this bill is actually going to do. Yeah, you can go on YouTube and watch a whole bunch of matches, but the problem is you can cut the internet in half. People are still going to find ways to see things illegally. It's going to become more underground, and there'll be less people to actually watch your product. I mean, you think people are actually going to spend money to see your WWE network that still isn't lifted off of the ground because you have problems with it? Stop. Come on. So what if they see free matches on YouTube or Dailymotion or anything of the sort? Big friggin' deal. It's how you get the word out. Twitter is one of the most popularly used forms of media information, and yet you're supporting SOPA. That just might kill Twitter. Yes, go ahead. Support the bill. In fact, WWE, if this bill passes, your business is going to take one hell of a hit because people aren't going to watch. They're not going to care. Why should they? You think things are bad now? Just wait. Just wait. But then again, what do I know? I'm just a little smark or voice of the internet. Go ahead. Just block me. Get rid of me. Toss me aside. For me, I personally don't care. The fact that you stand there and say, yes, we support the bill. Why do you support the bill? It's because that you're your content is shown on YouTube, when you do it yourself, you put your own content on YouTube and then you block it from yourself? Come on, guys, stop. Stop. The internet should be used as a form of information. And yes, piracy is wrong. I understand that, and I completely agree that piracy is wrong. But if you put a stop to it, you're going to find another way to get around it, and it's going to just make things so much worse. WWE, really, when I found this out, I was shocked. I was appalled. I figure if anything, you guys would be more up for freedom of speech. I mean, hell, you had thousands upon millions of people smack down their vote. Freedom of speech, and yet you're supporting a bill that's going to take away freedom of speech? WWE, really? I mean, really? Am I to sit here and believe that now it's going to get worse in the WWE arenas? We have to sit there and cheer who you tell us and boo who you tell us? Is that how it's going to be? Is that how this is going to work now? Because if that's how it's going to be, I'm not going to be a wrestling fan anymore. And to tell you the truth, I am at that point where if this is exactly how things are going to... And it's not just the bill, it's more so the fact that of all the people, I wouldn't think that you would support this bill. I never would have thought, with as much media influence as you have, and with as much content that is put on the internet, I mean, think about it. If you have a hell of a match that's put on YouTube, and people watch it for free, it's going to garner interest, and they're going to want to go see your shows. But if you take that stuff away, who's going to watch it on TV if nobody knows about it? The internet is one of the biggest forms of multimedia sharing and trading and viewing. And yet if you cut that off, then what are you going to do? Now trending. No one's on Twitter? Brilliant, guys. Hopefully this bill will not pass, because I am against SOPA and every other thing that it stands for. And any company that does stand for this bill needs to get their own dicks out of their ass and stop lining their pockets with money, because let's face it, we don't have any money. And I hate to sit here and preach and everything, but like I said, if this is the last time you see DM on any kind of forum like this, hopefully you enjoyed my content, and hopefully you've enjoyed hearing me, and hopefully you've enjoyed every little thing that we've done. I'm still going to have a chat room. I'm still going to watch WWE until the 24th of January when the bill passes, and then Congress will veto it, the President will veto it, then they'll repass it again, then we'll all be all sorts of fucked. I say, don't fuck this bill, fuck everything, down with SOPA and WWE. Rethink before you sponsor something. You have no reason to be in politics. You shouldn't be in politics. You're nothing more than just a carnival sideshow that got popular, and that's all you are. If you're going to treat us like that, then you don't deserve the fans that you already have. I am DM from That Wrestling Show. Yes, wrestling, it's one of the bad words that you can't use in the industry these days, but unfortunately I'm a wrestling fan. Not an entertainment fan. I pay to see wrestling. I pay to see two guys beat the shit out of each other. Why am I not a UFC fan? Because they support it too. I am DM from That Wrestling Show saying, hopefully until next time, I'll see you then.